Welcome to GKey Solutions Private Limited. SQL Server Database Interview Questions and Answers. Question number 4. What are main data types in SQL Server Database? Difference among CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR data types. And difference among int, BIGINT, decimal and float data types. In this session, we are going to discuss about what are main data types in SQL Server database and difference between CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR data types and difference between int, BIGINT, decimal and float data types. Coming to what are main data types in SQL Server. SQL Server database supports different data types to define the kind of values a column can store. There are different categories of data types. First would be numeric. The numeric data types are int, BIGINT, decimal and float. Character and string data types are like CHAR, VARCHAR, NVARCHAR and test data types. Coming to the date and time data types, we have date, date time and time data types. Coming to the binary data types, we have binary and var binary. And coming to other data types that SQL Server database supports are like big data type. It allows true or false, 1 or 0, 0 or 1 kind of a flag values. It allows to enter. And another would be unique identifier data type. This data type is used to give unique like a value for each record that is going to be inserted by using this data type. And other data types like XML and JSON file. If you want to insert any XML and JSON data into table, then we are going to use this XML and JSON data types. These are other data types in SQL Server database. And coming to the next part, that difference between CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR. Here we are going to just have different differences among them. First we'll discuss about CHAR. CHAR data type is having fixed length string. Once we define the length, like n is kind of a length here. If you define any length, that will be fixed in memory. It will take whole given length to store the value. Always uses n characters, padding spaces if needed. Example, for CHAR 10 in SQL Server, it stores like SQL and database it will take 10. Whereas coming to the VARCHAR, n is the value, variable length string. For example, here if you define 10 in database, it will take 10 bytes of data. Whereas coming to the variable length string that we are using, VARCHAR means it uses only the space needed, no padding. Example, if you use VARCHAR 10, SQL stores as SQL. Here it will take only 3 bits of data. It will not store 10 bytes of data even though you define 10 in the VARCHAR. Based on the data that you are giving, the taking of the length in the database, it varies by using this VARCHAR data type. And coming to NVARCHAR, it is also a variable length string that supports Unicode. That means multi-language characters. In some scenarios, for the data, we have to insert the data in different languages. In such scenario, we go for NVARCHAR data. It is similar to the VARCHAR, but it allows multi-language characters. And the length of the data type can be varied. It uses 2 bytes per character. For example, for every character, it is taking 2 bytes of data. Whereas VARCHAR and CHAR, they are going to take 1 byte of data. Example, good for storing Hindi, Chinese and Arabic characters. That means different languages characters. If you want to store in the tables or objects, we are going to use this NVARCHAR data type. These are the scenarios that where we can like prefer to use these type of like data types. For example, CHAR can be used for the fixed variable. For example, if you use pin codes, status codes or something like that, they are not going to change. For example, even phone number for India, it will be having 10 numbers. In such scenario, we go for the char. Why? Because whatever the data type and the value we are going to assign, it will not go beyond that and it will not variable in length. In such scenarios, we go for the character data types. Whereas varchar data type is a normal text. For example, if you take the name, for person to person, the name length of the name may vary. In such scenarios, for normal text, we are going to use varchar data type. Whereas NVARCHAR for multilingual text, for you, as we like discussed before, NVARCHAR allows different languages text that can be inserted into the table, but it will occupy 2 bytes per character. The data memory of the data, it consumes more compared to the char and varchar data types. These are the main differences between char, varchar and NVARCHAR that we are going to see in SSMS practically once we complete the next part. Then we are coming to the difference between int, BIGINT, decimal and float. These things will come under numeric data types. Okay, as we explained in the beginning class, numeric data types are int, BIGINT, decimal and float, and character or string data types are char, varchar, NVARCHAR and text, something like that. Here we are coming to the integer. It stores whole numbers, no decimals. It doesn't allow the decimal value. The range of the integer is as defined here. For example, employee ID, age, these are the things which doesn't have a decimal values. In such scenario, we are going to use this int data type. Coming to the BIGINT, here BIGINT data type stores very large whole numbers, range up to 9 quintillion. Example, social media user IDs and large transaction counts. For example, if you go to any link or something like that, if you click on that social media user IDs, they'll give you the particular length. That length would be more far from the numbers that we are using in integer. In such scenarios, we are going to use this BIGINT data type. Okay, and coming to the decimal data type, stored fixed precision decimal numbers. For example, P is equal to precision total digits and S is equal to scale digits after decimal. For example, if you enter 10 digits, there it can be 8 total digits like precision would be 10 and the scale would be 2, 3 or something like that. We can define the scale like that. For example, decimal 10, 2, we have given precision as 10 and the scale is 2. Here, these values should be up to total values. For example, total values have to be up to 10 and after 2 points, the scale have to be assigned only for 2 values. Like 2 digits, we can give the scale. This is how we decide the decimal values and we can give the fixed precision decimal numbers. And coming to the float, stores approximate decimal value. It is good for scientific or mathematical calculations where precision can vary. For example, if you calculate something, the value may give some 0 point something like that. It won't be an exact value. In such scenarios, we go for float kind of data type. Coming to the decimals, for example, salaries and kind of fixed decimal points, we go for decimal data types. We can see where to use these numeric data types here. Int and BIGINT for counts and IDs. Counts are something, some count if you want some minimum counts, and IDs like social media IDs or something like that. In those scenarios, we are going to use int or BIGINT data types. And decimal for money, exact values. For example, salaries that we are going to, every employee will be having fixed salary for a particular month after calculation of taxes and everything. Then we go for a decimal value. Whereas float for scientific calculations, for example, if you do any calculations, the value may be approximate and we'll have some approximate values. In such kind of scenarios, we are going to use float data type. There is a note point here that we have to consider. We are discussing about all these things. Here data type lengths are like 1 byte, 2 byte, 4 byte, something like that. Here 1 byte occupies 8 bits of memory in the database. Smallest storage unit in the computer. Bit is the smallest storage unit in the computer. For example, if one data type is taking 4 bytes of like data, then it occupies 32 bits of memory in database. If you understand this thing, you can understand in the remaining process over here. Finally, we have to optimize the database also. Instead of giving the data type lengths without knowing about the data, it may cause storage errors. To have the precise storing into the databases, we are going to decide the data types first, and we create the tables and we insert the data as per the business requirement. What are the different things that difference between CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR, and difference between int, BIGINT, decimal and float, that we are going to see practically how the table has been created, how the data types have been assigned, how the data types will take the memory in the SSMS like SQL Server database. These things practically we'll see in SSMS, that is called SQL Server Management Studio. Here we are in demo@gkey.com, like GKey. For example, here we are testing two scenarios. One is creating a table to test CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR data type. And second scenario is creating a table to test int, BIGINT, decimal and float data types. First we'll see the CHAR, VARCHAR and NVARCHAR data types. Here we are creating a table. In previous session also we known that how to create a table and view. Here we are creating a table with different data types, like that is different string data types. Here we have created a table called string test, and we are creating these tables with 3 columns. The column char contains a data type called character, which has 10 bytes of length of data that has been given for this. Call varchar and data type is varchar, whereas the length is 10. Call nvarchar, the data type for this is nvarchar, the length is 10. Let's see, we are inserting a sample data for this table with 3 records. First record is inserting column 1, column varchar, column char, column varchar and column nvarchar. For this we are just inserting SQL, NSQL. Here to insert nvarchar data, we have to define the thing like this. In varchar data, if you are inserting, we have to put in single quotes. And second column of data is with database, and it is nvarchar data type. We have to include this n. And same way we are inserting Bharat, N Bharat. This is a different language data apart from the English language we are inserting, and we are going to insert these 3 records into the database, and we'll check how these data types vary in their performance. See, 3 rows have been inserted. We'll just select the data, how it got inserted. Select star from table name. What is the table? String test. We are selecting data from this table. See, data is something like that. I have already inserted the data, and we have inserted these records again, and it took like this. Okay. Here, first record is SQL. And second record is database, and third record we can see the variation here. Here we have given another language data type, like Bharat, something like that. See. Something like that. In this scenario, it is not accepting the Bharat strings, and here it is accepting Bharat. Why? Because nvarchar allows different language data. We have to define in such a way. Here it is not accepting Bharat and Bharat. Okay. This is how, and the scenario that we go for to use char, varchar and nvarchar. Char is used for the fixed length. Once we define the length in database also, it will take 10 like length of 10 bytes, whereas coming to the varchar, if you given 10 of length also, based on the data it will take the memory. For example, if you give 5 characters only, it will take only 5 characters even though you have defined 10 as a length. Whereas coming to the nvarchar also, it is only used for the different languageal data, like languages. What are the languages that we are using? Most preferably we are using English language. Sometimes in Chinese countries they want to insert their Chinese language. In India they want to insert Hindi language kind of. In such scenarios we go and use this nvarchar data type. I think we have got some idea on this, and here I have given some explanation about the char, varchar. See, coming to the char data types, as I explained, we have given a length of 10, always stores 10 characters, pads with spaces if shorter. Okay, SQL becomes SQL, the length, even though you have given length of 3 bytes of length of 3 characters, it have taken 10, and storage also it took 10 bytes of storage. Here, if you are inserting only SQL 3 characters and we have given 10 bytes of data, we are wasting 7 bytes of data. In these scenarios, for the columns like phone numbers, like fixed values, we'll be using these characters. Here in this scenario, waste of 8 bytes. Whereas coming to the varchar, we can see the difference between char and varchar. It also stores the same data, like 3 characters, 3 bytes, whereas length is 3 for this, and storage also it has taken only 3 bytes, even though we have specified 10 length. It does not wasted the memory. Okay. In this kind of a scenarios, we have to identify what data is having what kind of a data. If there is a variable length of data, we have to use varchar. If it's a fixed length of data, we have to use character data types. When you coming to the nvarchar, stores the Unicode, uses 2 bytes per character. Here it uses 2 bytes per character. Can store Hindi, Chinese, Arabic kind of different languages. With varchar can't. That varchar doesn't support different languages, whereas nvarchar supports different languages data. Here bara stores correctly in nvarchar but shows question mark in varchar data types. For example, if there is a varchar data type for a particular column, you are inserting different language data, that will show question marks for that. It doesn't allow that data. If there is only nvarchar data type assigned to that particular column, then only the data is visible. In such a way only we have seen this question marks over here. Okay, I think you have understood the difference between char, varchar and nvarchar. Now we are going to discuss about the next important data types, that is int, BIGINT, decimal and float data types. Here we have already I have already tested this like table. First I'll drop and we are doing from the scratch. Drop table name. Here we are dropping this table and working from the beginning. Okay, here we are creating a table called number test. First column, that is column int, that column is having data type like integer. Column BIGINT, this is a column name and we are giving a data type like BIGINT. And column decimal, this is the column name and we have given the decimal or data type like this with a precision. And column float, we are creating a column name called column float with a data type like float. In this way we are creating this table. Okay, you just try to select the data from this table. The table name is something like this. We are selecting, we have just created a table here, we did not insert any data. Now we try to insert data like this. Insert into table name, whereas first column, second column, third column, and fourth column. First column we are giving data like this, for second column we are giving data like this, for third column we are giving data like this, and fourth column. In this way we are inserting bunch of 3 records into number test data type. See, 3 rows affected, that means 3 rows have been inserted into the number test table. Okay, now if you select and see the data, we are having these different types of data over here. Let's see how these data types have worked in this manner. We are going to go for the explanation over here. Coming to the int data type, fixed 4 bytes, values within integer range. 4 bytes in the sense 4 into 8 bits. Integer data types allows maximum of 4 bytes of data. Here whatever the data you are giving, it should be with 4 bytes, that is 4 into 8. Okay, 8 bits of data. That 4 into 8 is the maximum length for this int data type. Whereas coming to the BIGINT, it will take 8 bytes. Here 8 bytes is equal to 8 into 8 bits. It support 8 into 8 maximum value for this BIGINT data type. Whereas coming to the decimal, stores exact precision. Whatever the precision we are giving, it stores exact precision. For example, we have given 10 over here, it will take total digits of 10, and precision, it will give exact precision. Whatever the precision we are having, we have assigned only 2 here. For example, total digits have to be below 10, and here precision have to be only 2. In this scenario, we have given precision for only last 2 digits. In this way, the decimal data types will work. Whereas coming to the flow, may round values. For example, in some mathematical calculations, the decimal number may vary differently. For example, this is the decimal number that we are having like this. If you want to round this decimal number 5, 6 and as 6, what is the maximum value? With that value we are rounding here. See, we have rounded 56 as 6 here with the previous value. In this way, in this kind of scenarios happens in data type or in the data, we are going to create that particular data type for that particular column. While inserting, it will check all these data type constraints and it will allow the data to enter. In this way, assigning data types, different data types to the different columns, that will increase the memory, like memory facilities. For example, we are having a database with fixed memory. We have to save the memory. In such a scenario, we have to identify what is the different data that we are inserting into the table. Instead of wasting by selecting unnecessary data types, based on the data, we are going to select correct data type and inserting that particular data into the tables. In such a way, we can like utilize the memory of the database that we are having. In this way, we have tested different data types like integer data types and string data types. Thank you.
Stay connected with GKey IT solutions on all your favorite platforms. Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay updated with all our latest content. Join the GKey community and grow your IT career with us.